good evening everyone, welcome to FGM eCast for your Thursday night. We're back with the chase on a Thursday night and we're looking forward to a race here at Charlotte Roval. We're just in the tail end of practice. We're going to head into qualifying shortly. We've got an interview with Jason Martin coming up and then we will get into the race proper. Carl with the good evening, sir.
Good evening, Stuart. Good evening, everybody. And yes, we are here at the Roval, of course, and we are looking at a road track here in the chase. This could really favour a few drivers and really throw a cat amongst the pigeons for a couple of others in that chase contention.
Yeah, we've got 45 laps here tonight, and there'll be a couple of drivers who've been waiting for this round to appear. There'll equally be a couple of drivers who will be waiting with great trepidation for this round to appear. It's going to be a mixed bag tonight.
Yeah, it really is. And you've got to say DPR are going to be looking at getting a good result tonight. They had a really good start to the chase, but then they've had a few races where things have gone very wrong for them. So before we go any further, I'm just going to quickly run through the chase results. Well, chase standings, I should say. So up front is Jason Martin. He's got an 8-point lead over Edward Foster, defending champion. Third place is Hamish Gallagher, 16 points behind the leader. He's in joint place with Michael Skurlock. Fifth, we have Josh Micklemore, 19 points off the lead. Danny G is sixth, 38 points down. 46 points down is Neil Pearson. Eighth place is Joshua Carroll-Walden, 50 points off the lead. Matthew Raymond in ninth, 51 points down. 59 points down is Luke Trahere. And probably tonight's favourite, you got to say, Mr. Andrew Dyson is in 11th, 60 points off the lead. He's going to hope he can close up a bit of that gap tonight.
Well, if practice is anything to go by, and Dyson's history at this place over the season or over the year is anything to go by, he needs to win tonight to take out a win in every series that ANZCAR runs at this track. And he's showing the wares already in practice, 1.1 seconds to the good. We saw a little bit of a mixed strategy from him when we ran here recently in the Thunder Series, and I think he will have learnt from that, and it didn't affect his race whatsoever. He still came out with the win in a dominant fashion, but that will be no doubt playing on his mind. Completely different car, of course, in the way the Cup Car uses its tyres around a track like this. So we're going to jump into qualifying, and it is going to be one of those nights, I feel like, where we're not going to give Andrew all that much coverage because he may well be out in front, but the battle for the places behind him is where it's going to be at. Three drivers in practice there who were all less than a tenth beyond one another, so there's going to be plenty of fight in the places.
That is indeed, and look, I think anyone to take us around a lap of this place is going to be Daiso. He's going to be very slow on this outlap, just keeping those tyres nice and ready for this qualifying lap. It's a little bit like a Formula 1 qualifying lap almost. Just trying not to get too much heat into the rears right now, just trying to get the best for this single lap qualifier. Well, it's dual laps, of course, but he's going to treat it like a single lap shootout right here. So you just got to not make a mistake. And sometimes that can really throw you off. If you make a mistake because your brakes are a little bit too cool, it can really, really throw you off. So Daiso just going for this very, as I said, it's more single-seater style of outlap, but really looking after these tyres so we can get the best out of them in the first lap. They'll be a bit cold going into the first corner, and he puts his foot down. He's going to get some heat into the rears now. We're dragging the brake a little bit to get the brakes up to temperature as well, and that's why you can hear the car over revving a little bit. And he's just getting that heat cycle ready up as he comes into the first set of chicanes. Of course, the Roval does use part of the Charlotte Oval as core as well, and that's what makes it quite a unique track, really. There are a couple of other tracks now that have the oval section added to them, of course, and quite wide sections to them. Unfortunately, those pesky chicanes are there, but they do have a little bit of action for the braking. So coming up to the first lap now, Daiso is going to absolutely launch the DPR car away. Get a good drive into the first corner here, and the first corner is one of the trickiest corners. Very, very tight left hand of this first corner. Wall is right there on your outside. If you make a little bit of mistake, you're going to tag that wall, and that is the end of your lap straight away. He gets through nicely. Look for pit exit on the left there. They basically come out on the driving line. We go down to turns 4 and 5 now. the right-handers up towards turn 6, which will lead us very much uphill to turn 7. Basically a blind corner, this one. And this is the corner that will catch most people out. Sorry, turn 6, which will catch most people out. Turn 7, now down we go through the dip. Very easy to lose the rear here. Turn 8 back onto the oval section. Takes a nice wide line there. Gets really well onto the oval. You've got to be a bit careful getting onto the actual oval section because the car does get a little bit off balance. And that can cause you issues. So rounds turn 9 and 10, we go down to 11 and 12, the chicane. And this chicane you can carry a lot of speed through. Watch him clip the curbs, just get across there nicely. Use those big blue sausage curbs to his advantage. Crosses that line, not looking at track limits there. 13 and 14, the oval sections, down towards the final chicane. 15, 16 and 17 are really hard corners. This chicane is one of the trickiest ones in the calendar because it almost doubles back on itself. Gets it nice across there. Don't want to take too much of that curb because if you put that sausage, you're going to go flying. Daiso jumps up to pole position with a 19.936. A little bit slower than he went in practice. So we might see somebody pit him, but he is the only driver currently in the 19s.
Yeah, Edward Foster with a 21.3. Most drivers, or in fact our top 3 drivers anyway at this stage, pulling out after that first flying lap, knowing that is going to be the quicker one. So I'll bring up on screen where we're at provisionally at the moment, just on the left here. So you can see only 14 drivers so far having completed a lap, but there are another 10, maybe 12, 10 cars out on track at the moment. So we'll jump on board with Jason Martin and have a quick look how he's getting on his flying lap. This is his second. He's done a 1:24.1. So we'll see if he can do any better than that on his second lap around. It's going to be tough with the heat in the tyres that Carl mentioned. Cool tyres is what you're wanting to have going into that lap just to maximise grip levels for the car. Tyres seem to be best on that first lap when they're not too hot. You can see there, he's just pulled out of this lap, so...
These cars really punish their rear tyres, of course, because they've got a huge amount of horsepower going through that back end section. Danny G with a really good lap there, jumping up into 4th position with a 21.9, getting ahead of Damon Stockton there. So very nice lap from Danny G. Just looking at Neil Pearson, I think he's just heading out for his flying lap at the moment now. He's just getting onto the banking section, so he's going to start warming up this time.
He is done.
He's done?
He is done. He has not set a time.
Ooh, must have got a little strike every time then.
Yeah, this is the end of his second flying lap, so Pearson's going to have to battle his way from the rear of the field. So that's not the night he would have wanted to start with, but to be honest, we've seen Pearson with a battle through from the end of the field before at this track, and he did it reasonably assertively and managed to make his way up towards the front. So.
Wondering if he aborted his first qualifying run.
Could have.
This is his second lap, so this could be his only option for qualifying right here, because he is definitely going for it.
But he's saying he's done. This is his third lap, so we'll see.
I've got second lap on my screen, so I'm wondering if it might be a...
Could be a glitch.
A slight glitch, yeah. So we'll find out, I'm sure, as the red M&M, the number 9, of course, Neil Pearson, coming on to the oval once again. Going to be hoping to get a good qualifying lap out of this one so he can jump himself up and try and take the fight to his teammate Dyson. And this will be a event that he'll be looking at getting a good result from to try and help his chase aspirations out as well, because obviously good start to the chase and it just sort of fell away a little bit for them, unfortunately. But they have had a fantastic year. One thing for Daiso right now is he's chasing his 6th victory in the Cup Series this season. If he can get another win tonight, he's got the most wins of anybody, and Neil Pearson does jump up to P3.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Carl. Good call. So just got through there on that second lap, so talk about pressure, making sure he got it done. Michael Skurlock as well at the same time jumped up into P5 with a 1:21.67. And it looks like Aidan Schultz, Ruben Phelps and Tristan Cock deciding that they are not going to set a qualifying lap tonight. There is still time if they do choose to, but I'd say at this stage they are going to put that one to bed. We've got you've still got 2.5 minutes to go, so you just never know. They might decide that that's what they're going to do.
Well, it's quickly running out of time, and I think they have disconnected. So
So you'd say
um,
not.
I'd say not. So yeah, um,
So there's a
they were
look.
looking at getting it done. I think that's that.
So look at the track from the top of the stand. You can see there how the track works. So it does run back inside itself to give you that circuit layout on the interior of the oval, and then rejoins the oval circuit. So quite an interesting layout. You'd think if you haven't driven the track before, you'd think it's a relatively simple thing. You know, there's a nice flat circuit in the inside, or nice flat infield that they've just plonked some bitumen on, and to make it into a circuit. It's not quite the case at all. This is quite a good technical little track, so it's got its own little quirks to it, and it'll certainly be a challenge in these cars tonight with the narrow tyres and the brakes that don't necessarily do all that the name would suggest that they should. It's going to be a challenge here tonight for these drivers to make their way around the track.
It is indeed, and it's something that I really like about the ovals with that infield track. It kind of makes use of the circuit. It's sort of a very, very good idea because it really makes a great use of the area. Why not put a track inside there, and then you can have multiple purposes for the racing, and gives you the opportunity to bring more things to the series. And we've seen it at many tracks now. Of course, Daytona famously, Indianapolis now. A lot of those tracks have got those infield sections, and it just adds a little bit more to the racing. And when you have that bit of racing on the actual oval as well, it's a very cool little feeling. It just adds a little bit more to the racing series.
So that's that classic multi-purpose race circuit, isn't it? You know, never would have been built with the intention of doing this originally, I guess, but certainly able to be done so. And obviously, there's other tracks like Daytona and the like that do the same thing and have done it for a long, long time.
Yeah, they even have a rallycross track in here as well nowadays.
I did see that.
Yeah,
I did see that was the case.
I hold my one rallycross drive victory and competition entry in this circuit, so it was pretty good to me. But other than that, yeah, it just has a thing for everybody here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's happening more and more nowadays, isn't it? Of course, with go-kart tracks as well as drag strips and the like. So, yeah, no real surprise there that this track has that capability. But as I said, it is a tight and technical circuit, so it's very easy to run off. And the runoff here, not all that generous either. So very similar to the old Oran Park in that respect, in that there's a couple of corners obviously where there is some gap, but generally speaking, if you end up off track, you probably end up in the wall. If not, certainly taking out one of your fellow competitors. So the start here for those who qualified in the mid-pack is going to be really, really critical, and particularly for those who are challenging for the whole shebang. Jason Martin's qualified in P11, so he's right in the midst of everyone who's going to be looking to do something, and he's going to have to manage that. But speaking of Jason Martin, we're lucky enough, Carl, that you caught up with Jason in the series of chase driver interviews that you've been putting together for us here on FGM Ecast, and we've got Jason Martin's interview lined up for you all tonight. So we're going to hit play on that one now. Have a listen to Jason Martin, a mysterious man who dominates in ANZCAR in many ways, shapes, and forms. And we're going to catch up with the number 21 driver tonight in Jason Martin.
Good evening, everybody, and tonight we are joined by the 21 Mitch Motorsport car of Jason Martin. Jason, how you going, mate?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Pretty good. Had some good results lately, so yeah, not bad.
Well, I mean, it's not unlike you to have good results, especially in ANZCAR. You do currently hold the most wins in the series, in a few of the different series as well. But you've obviously got a affinity for the ovals.
Oh, it's definitely my favourite type of racing. It's just, I love the strategy you can have on long runs, and I love the side by side stuff that you can get. It's just so much more fun than a road race.
Well, we've seen that. You're very good on the ovals, but you have been improving on the old road circuits as well.
If the car feels like a car, I think I do okay, but when it feels a bit strange, I really struggle. Like the Cup car at the moment, I'm not that good in that one, but the truck on a road, I do okay, and Xfinity, I do okay in that one as well, but not as good in the Cup car on a road.
No, it's one of the trickier cars to get working sometimes. We saw obviously Talladega was a little bit rough for you, and it was a bit rough for everybody in the Cup cars. It seemed.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's Talladega, the close racing and people desperate to get a win. But yeah, I thought the team worked awesome in that race, and we worked our way to the front, and we built a gap over the pack, and yeah, just unfortunate at the end there.
Yeah,
Except for Danny G,
yeah,
great result for him.
that's what I was about to say. I mean, it's the unfortunate thing. Like, it did not work out well for the rest of you, but you still managed to get one of your teammates the win. So, I mean, as is tradition with Which Motorsport, when one of you has a bad night, one of you has a good night. It seems you guys have been absolutely on it this season, and you've been. You didn't have the best start to the Cup Series for yourself, at least.
Yeah, I think most of us had an awful start at Darlington in the first race in the chase. Then after that, we got a 1-2-3, and then another 1-2-3. So yeah, it's been pretty good for us in the chase so far.
Obviously, getting into the chase as well wasn't as cut and dry as it normally is for you. We often, as I say to a few people, when I first got introduced to ANZCAR and commentating, the one thing I was told was, watch out for Jason Martin. He's probably going to be the one that wins because he's the quickest guy out there. But you didn't have the best overall season in your usual fashion, so to say. I mean, you sort of finished down towards the back end of the regular season, so it was a little bit of a tough one for you, and it took a little bit of time to get that first victory.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Cup car at the moment, so I didn't really put much effort into practice, and yeah, so I was just going through the races hoping for decent results, but wasn't putting in enough effort really, so that's why the results were down. But come the chase, I started putting in a bit more effort and started getting some better results.
Well, it has been noticed. I mean, you got Richmond and Bristol, of course, 2 wins in the Cup Series, and your as we stand, current leader of the Cup Series as well, which must be a good feeling.
Oh, it sure was to get a 1-2-3, and for the team that was awesome. I still can't believe we got 2 in a row. That was unbelievable, and I couldn't believe I got 2 wins in a row. I was just hoping for top 5s, and I would have been happy with that.
Well, it worked out very well. I mean, it's not very often we get to see the lockout of teams, especially on the oval side of things. To have 3 of them in a row with DPR and Mitch Motorsport, it was something phenomenal. And for Mitch to actually manage to do it 2 weeks in a row with all 4 cars as well, you must have been pretty damn excited and just happy with that result.
Yeah, we were pretty down in the dumps after Darlington, to come back like that. Yeah, we were absolutely stoked. We were super happy with that.
So, enough about the season. We want to know a little bit more about you. What got you into motorsport, Jason?
When I was little, probably about 5, 6, my uncle used to start taking me to the speedway, the dirt speedway, and I fell in love with the sprint cars. And ever since then, I've just loved watching them, and used to go all the time to watch them, but don't as much anymore. But yeah, the sprint cars, they were just insane. The speed, the smell, everything, the dirt flying, close racing. That's what got me in love with motorsport the most.
The smell of burning oil is something that only a petrol head can enjoy. It's something that gets a lot of us into the sport, I think.
Yep, and then after getting involved in watching as much dirt speedway as I could, then I started watching some F1 with Ayrton Senna. And yeah, just started watching NASCAR as well, and yeah, started watching all motorsport after that.
So what got you involved in sim racing?
Well, my love for speedway, dirt speedway, sprint cars. There was a game called DTR Sprint Cars, and I'd never had a computer before, and I just loved dirt sprint cars so much. So I saw that game had come out, and I had to buy a computer just to play it. And a couple of years later, I found out you could race it online. So then I started racing online with just a controller. Yeah, and I got pretty good at that, and yeah, just fell in love with online racing after that.
Well, it's worked out pretty well for you. I mean, obviously, iRacing's gone pretty well for you as well, and sort of going from controller to, I imagine, a bit of a setup with a steering wheel and a full rig nowadays, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I remember back on the controller on the dirt, I used to have to tap the left button about 10 times in a turn to turn properly, and I actually did pretty good and was one of the fastest in the world. And yeah, there was something called GPL rank. There was a version of that for sprint cars, and yeah, I got some top 3 times in that on some tracks, and yeah, that was with a controller, but yeah, with a wheel now and heaps easier.
Just show it off, just rubbing it in, aren't you? You know, just on a controller, you're still damn good. It just makes us shake our fist at you. But you do have this natural affinity.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with being on a controller and hearing about guys with their wheels, and I was able to beat them. That made me feel pretty good.
What is it that gives you that little edge over the other drivers, do you think?
I'm getting old now, so I've been gaming for a long time, so I think video games help a fair bit. You learn that hand-eye coordination, and I think that's a big help.
Oh, look, we're all getting old, unfortunately. I mean, you know, when you're mentioning Ayrton Senna back then, it's like, yep, it's the same generations. It's you start feeling your age after a while, especially when some of the younger generations start coming in and you start going, I'm old enough to be their dad. Oh, God, that's a horrible feeling.
Yep, not fun seeing them 16-year-olds as quick as you.
No, it's definitely not. Especially when they're faster, that's even worse. Obviously, it's been a really good start for the chase for you. You've got a 8-point lead as we stand coming into the next round at the Roval, of course. And I mean, as we know from your words before, road course is not so much your favourite. But with the upcoming races in the chase series, what do you reckon is going to be the standout one for you?
Unfortunately, I don't think many. I think they're going to be pretty draft dependent in the next few races. So I think I'm going to have to rely on Phoenix. That will be my best hope, I think, if we can get some long runs there. But yeah, the rest I think is going to be real close and everyone's going to be extremely even. So I don't expect to stand out any of them races.
Well, we will wish you all the best, and I'm sure we'll get to speak to you before the end of the season. I mean, I'm very, very doubtful that you won't be back in the booth before then, but good luck with the rest of the chase, and we wish you luck for the championship season.
Yep, thanks, mate, and thanks for all the work you do in the broadcast. Everyone enjoys watching them back.
No worries. Thank you so much, Jason Martin, for Mitch Motorsport there.
So there you have it. Jason Martin, video gaming nonetheless for quite a long time. Competitive gaming, Jace, is where it's at these days. That's what they call it now. It's not video gaming anymore, particularly not at the level that you do it at in the 21 Mitch Motorsport entry. I dare say that you're a step above video gaming, mate. But a very interesting insight there to, I say with compliment, a man typically not of many words, but a very, very successful ANZCAR competitor and a driver we absolutely love broadcasting week in, week out, Carl.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I couldn't believe when he told me that, just using the controller and just absolutely flying away with it. I'm pretty sure he'd still do well with the controller even now. It's just, it's the kind of thing that Jason Martin could do. But I found out that Jason talks a lot when you talk about Australian football. Unfortunately, I know nothing about that. So couldn't really have much of a conversation about that. All I know is they use their hands for it, so why is it called football?
Yeah, well, and no surprises given the colour of Jason's car that he is a massive Fremantle Dockers supporter, for those of you that follow. So if you ever want to have a chat with Jason about that, I'm sure he would talk your ear off about everything to do with that team. But as I said, great to have him on board. I'm loving this interview series that we're getting through. Obviously, I've not been around ANZCAR for as long as you have. So getting to know the ins and outs of the drivers and even just reflecting on, how they got into car racing and all that sort of stuff. It's really, really good to hear. So thank you for putting that together. And Jason Martin, this week, next week, you let me know that we've got Michael Skurlock. That will be an M18 Plus show. So just bear that in mind, Carl, when you bring the interview together. We're joking around that you might need to have a safe word for that one as you make your way through it, but I'm looking forward to hearing about Mickey Skurlock next week. But before we get there, other than all the other racing we've got between now and then, we have this race. We've got 45 laps coming your way from this circuit. And we were talking in the tail end there, just before we jumped into the interview with Jason Martin, about how difficult this is going to be for the drivers who are running in the mid-pack. Obviously, we'll bring you that qualifying order shortly in its entirety. But this corner here, another one that's going to be particularly difficult as we're looking on with Steve Williams, who said the join onto the banking surface, a little bit rough, obviously, when you're going from, dare we say, level to a degree banking instead, and the car's obviously set up to run on a circuit. And that there we could see on the first lap, on cold tyres, drivers struggling to actually get up onto that banking.
Yeah, look, turn one is an important one on cold tyres as well. Watch out for the rest of the field as well, because you'll see them gridding up behind the chicane. So you see them all gridding up on the side of the road next to the chicane. So they all got to file through that last chicane effectively, and that's really tricky to do when you're actually going for it as well. So it is a really hard track. This is generally where you want to qualify up front or at the very back, because you don't really want to be in the mid pack, because it does get a little bit of the accordion effect.
Yeah, absolutely it does. So let's see how this one plays out for the drivers, as we're about to just jump through the grid now and have a look at everyone involved in this. Andrew Dyson off pole position, Edward Foster in second. He'll be happy to be starting on the front row in this one. It's about management here. And we've got Neil Pearson, Hamish Gallagher off row 2 with Michael Skurlock and Damon Stockton off row 3. Danny G and Riley Curtis off 4 with Steve Williams and JCW off 5. Jason Martin, Luke Trahere off row 6 as we head over the page, and you'll see Lachlan Urquhart on Barry Neal off 7 with Matty Ray, Mr. Sheen and Norman Clark off 8. Then it's Scotty Griffiths and Matty Hunter off row 9 with Josh Mickelmore and Raymond Yeager off 10. Mirko Dortnack, Nigel Patton off 11 with Paul Jackson and Phil Otto off 12. And then it is Daniel Heddersheed bringing up the back of the field. He will be starting from P25 as the cars head out on their warm-up lap. Dave Double D has jumped in. Big pile-up lap 1 would be nice. Ooh, Dave, I don't know that you'll be making many friends with that, mate. But look, we'll see. It's going to be tough here. They've only got they've got the full lap here. Sorry, I should say, for the warm-up, but they'll be taking it easy to not spend any more energy out of these tyres than they need to. There will certainly be a stop tonight. And of course no cautions, being a circuit race, so it is a flat out 45 laps here for you tonight. And I've been looking forward to this one, Carl, for a couple of weeks. So I'm really keen to see how this pans out.
Yeah, I think we got a really good race forming up with a lot of drivers in the pack. I think we might see a little bit of a runaway at the front, but it's going to be watching that mid-pack and everybody down. We saw with the Thunder series that there were drivers. Foster had a really good solid race, but there were drivers starting to catch up a little bit. With these cup cars, of course, everybody's going to have to pit. When are you going to pit? That's going to be the big one. You're going to split the race by half. Are you going to try and go a little bit longer so you get a little bit less fuel time stoppage? But of course, changing all 4 tyres does take a long time, so you don't really make up a huge gain from that. So will you see a couple of people come in early to try and take advantage of those fresh tyres? Of course, then the tyres drop off towards the end. So a lot of strategy at play as well. Obviously, fresher tyres towards the end of the race are going to be a better option, but it's how much time you lose when you stick it out there, and that's going to be the big factor. So a lot of things at play here tonight.
And you might correct me here, but I mean, one of the components that I love about NASCAR racing is the team aspect of it. That goes out the window tonight. There's no teams here. Circuit racing doesn't, there's no real advantage. I mean, obviously, if Neil Pearson gets in front of Edward Foster, he might try and hold him up a little bit if he needs to give Daiso the lead, or vice versa, whatever the case might be. But we don't see that usual team strategy that you can use in a traditional oval track race. We don't see that here tonight. So it's out and out racing. Who's the best driver? Fixed setup. Let's go. Let's see how fast you can get around here.
Yeah, that's it. And you'll see the outside line just filing through the chicane, and the inside line just taking the chicane properly. And that's just to make sure that nobody makes contact and everybody can just get through there without too much issue. But of course, the next chicane makes it a bit more awkward because that is effectively right before the start-finish line. It would be a very distinct advantage to the outside if they could just drive straight through that chicane.
Yeah, I was just having a chuckle about that, thinking, that'd be a great way to start the race. So it'd be the only track other than Japan when it centres on pole that there'd be an advantage to qualifying in second.
That is it. So we are getting ready for green here. It is going to be Daiso leading away in the orange DPR car. Again, orange and black, very festive for the season. He's going to lead away, gets away nice and clean. Looks like most of them are getting away through the chicane. It's always tricky to keep the car in a solid position to get across the line. Everybody looks to have made it through though, that's good news. And now to the first corner.
Yeah, we're going to hold the camera here, just make sure everyone gets through. It is Andrew Dyson in the lead, Neil Pearson. Looked like Edward Foster missed the start there a little bit, maybe missed the gear. I'm not sure. We'll find out about that one a little bit later on, but everyone makes it through turn one nice and clean as we head up now. Yeah, the exit out of turn two again, turn three I should say. Looks like everyone's getting through nice and smartly here. Just realising we've got 45 laps and they will not win it on lap one. Got to get through with a clean car, and they're doing exactly that. As we jump up to the front, Andrew Dyson already stretching the legs on the 041 entry ahead of teammate Neil Pearson. Edward Foster just regaining a little bit of that lost ground from the start with Michael Skurlock right behind him. Damon Stockton, good run from him already up into P5, up one place. Biggest mover so far off the start. Daniel Hedersheet up 6 spots from the starting position. Wow, down the inside. Oh, he's got him.
Into Pearson. Right
He's got
into
him.
His teammate.
That is tragic.
That is disastrous for DPR. I was just about to say, Damon Stockton had a little bit of damage on the right front. He just tagged the exit of turn number of the final turn number 8. Had some damage on the front, and I wonder if it had anything to do with that braking performance. Really outbraked himself and then went straight into the side of his teammate. We'll try and get another better look at that one.
Yeah, we will. I'm just scrolling back through now, Carl. We'll pick that one up and have a look. But that is, as Dave's just said, that is sent. And there was nothing Damon could do to bring that one up. So we'll jump on board on the roof of Stockton here. Just gone back a little bit too far, so let me just bring that one back up. So, just going to have a look here. Oh, man, what have I done? Having a Barry. Just changed cars on me there. There we go. Down the inside there. He's never going to get that pulled up. You can hear him, and he's launched it across the sausage curbs there to try and slow himself down, but he was never going to get that pulled up. And I tell you what, Skirley was lucky to get out of that one alive with Damon aborting before he cleaned up the back of the 350 of Michael Skirley.
Foster as well, really close. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson's trying to fight his way through the field. He drops down to P19. He's just got past Barry Neal, so he's currently just trying to fight his way up through the field now to get back into the side that top 10. A few drivers just choosing to go across the actual chicane just to avoid that accident, just so that they could keep themselves clean. That was JCW and Jason Martin. So Jason Martin's dropped down a couple of spots from that, I think. So he's dropped down to 22nd, Jason Martin. JCW managed to keep P10.
And then on the screen there, he's just got touched back left quarter of the 21, and Damon Stockton's just giving him a little hello sailor on the way through, and that spun Martin around, dropped him back down to 22nd. He will not be happy.
No, not what he needs to have happen tonight. That's disastrous. Jason has never been too shy to say that the ovals are his his main thing. And when he gets to the road courses, don't look out for him too much. But he has been improving over the years, and he has really been doing a great job of getting up there. But that is not what you need.
Can you believe that what this means is that Andrew Dyson is 6 seconds in front at the lead of this race, and as he approaches the end of lap 2.
Yeah, very, very good lead there. And Daiso's just going to be absolutely loving this, just pushing that car a little bit, and he's going to be able to build himself a nice little bit of a gap. Danny G started from pit lane, so he decided to start from pit road with Barry Neal, thinking there might have been a big accident in turn 1. They decided to not take that risk. It didn't come for them, so they did lose a few positions from that one. Daniel Heddersheet, on the other hand, is absolutely carving his way through the field. 13 positions gained in this race, up to P12.
Yeah, absolutely. He is flying. So we're just looking here at got JCW there getting through on Josh Mickelmore, and Matty Ray looking for a way around with Heddersheet behind as well. So Heddersheet is flying through here. He's doing a really, really good job.
Yeah, Heddersheet, one of those drivers that is very decent on the old road circuits, and pretty handy on the ovals too. Good signing for Natari, so watch out for this one. He's going to be absolutely trying to carve his way up through the field. Just behind him is Scotty Griffiths. Again, one of those drivers that's got quite a bit of experience on the road racing aspect, so looking again to work their way up there. Good result as well for Josh Mickelmore, up 9 positions, so Mickelmore will have had a good run too. So Mickelmore not expecting too much from tonight, but if he could stay inside the top 10, I think he'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, absolutely. You could just hear how gentle Heddersheet is. He just is about to make a liar of me, but just as he exited to join the oval part of the circuit, he was very, very gentle on the throttle there, just to make sure that he got the car turned in nice and early before getting on the throttle to get out of that final corner. It can make a big difference to your overall speed going through there. So a fantastic run so far from Daniel Heddersheet.
Yeah, I think we might have an eye on a big mover right there, because he's definitely getting up the field. Just needs to make sure that that nothing goes wrong. Just keep that car in the right spot at the right time, not push too hard. Obviously can burn your tyres up a little bit, but we can see the outright pace at the moment from Daiso. He's down in the 120s at the moment, the late 120s, having a good run in that car. So that tells me that you could probably keep it around that pace and keep if you're relatively smooth on the tyres, you could probably keep a fairly decent pace in that car. So Heddersheet very much looking to do that tonight.
We've got a few comments in the chat. Dave Douglas not racing tonight, saying Neil Pearson will be fuming. Yes, absolutely he will. But at least it happened, I guess, right at the start of the race rather than on the final lap. Brad Allison saying the same. Steam will be coming out of his ears. Yeah, I reckon so. And Gail joins us again tonight. Welcome, Gail. Just saying that the cars sound good. They absolutely do sound cracking around this joint. So glad you're enjoying the show. Just watching here with Lachlan Urquio, who's just coming under pressure again from Joshua Carroll-Walden. So he's going to get the pass done here. JCW down into turn 1. He's got to watch the wall on the exit there. Gets it done nice and cleanly. Moves himself up another position into P8. And Luke Traher also, he's up 5 positions so far. It's pretty handy in a V8 supercar, Luke Traher. And what's the relevance, you say? Well, it's probably the closest car on iRacing to driving one of these things in the non-oval track setup. So wouldn't be surprised if Luke can push himself up into a top 5 here tonight.
Yeah, just jumping back to Stone Stockton, he's just working his way past Norman Clark and Scott Griffiths. So even though that car is looking pretty damaged at the front, it's still got some good pace in it for the moment. And
mate, she's topped and tailed this one.
On the back.
Topped and tailed.
Yep.
It's looking like
not much car left in it.
There's no M&M here tonight either. I was just saying, it's looking like an M&M that's been left in the bottom of the packet, but he's not even in the M&M colours. So, but yeah, Pearso coming through as well. So he's just getting underneath Scott Griffiths. Sorry, just Norm Clark. My apologies.
Could call it a dark chocolate M&M, maybe a white one. The white shell on the outside with the black on the inside.
Do you remember the old Vice Versus? Are you old enough to remember those?
I do.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, we might call him that. He's the Vice Versa. It's the one where it's chocolate on the outside or white chocolate on the inside,
Just
depending on the
jumping up
colour.
to Daniel Heddersheed right now. He's got a good run on Josh Micklemore and gets down the inside into the first corner. Very nice pass.
Yeah, very well done there.
Stockton doing the same on Matty Ray as well. And Pearson looking to follow him through. Can't quite make it through as they just cut across the exit of pit lane. David Stockton just tags the wall. That's going to run him a little bit wide. Pearson's going to get past Matty Ray right now. And it is going to be Stockton and Pearson on track with each other once again. Hopefully the same results won't happen.
Dave Douglas just saying that incident with Martin is a game changer. It is indeed. 8 points between Martin and Foster. And Foster, of course, in second place at the moment in both the race and in the point standings, with Martin in pole or in first. So that is going to have a change at the top of the standings if things stay the way that they are, as Damon Stockton just sheepishly lets Neil Pearson pass with no doubt a little bit of a wave, and Pearson moves back up in front.
Now they have to try and catch up to Josh Micklemore and Daniel Heddersheed, Heddersheed's got some good pace, and that looks like I think that's going to be a cracking fight when it actually gets to fruition. That's going to be one to watch out for. Another one to keep an eye on is the battle for P2 between Foster and Skirley. Skirley, a very good track driver, of course, and Foster has got some experience in this aspect as well, so no slouches on the left and right turns, and those two are going to be fighting relatively shortly. Foster,
a self underrated circuit racer, so he'll enjoy the battle here with Skirley, and Gail, I like it suggesting that Damon Stockton looks like a melted M&M.
Yes, very much so. Meanwhile, just behind Luke Trahere, there is, Riley Curtis, just behind Riley Curtis, there is a sort of of vehicles.
Curtis gets into the wall.
Did the exact same. That's what happened to Stockton earlier on. He just tags that wall. It's going to give JCW the run on Luke Trahere right here. Watch Lachlan Lerco try and make a pounce as well. You can see Daniel Heddersheed right on the back of this pack too. This is where the fight is happening. I told you the front might be a little bit quiet, but the mid-pack's going to be pretty juicy. JCW trying to make the move into the chicane. He's got the inside. It'll turn to the outside, but back to the sort of right side for him eventually. It gives you a little bit of better run onto this section of the track, so he should have a little bit of a better run here, but they're going to come down to that first chicane. I think Luke Trahere's braking a little bit earlier just so he can get in behind JCW there, because you don't really want to try and go too wide through that final chicane, sorry.
No, not at all. It is not a place to adventure. Definitely better part of Valor there is just to pull in behind and get around, and maybe just stick to the back and try the same move in reverse when you get back around through the next lap. But JCW here has got plenty of pace in the 35 Natari Autosport entry, so he is already opening up a gap. So Trahere here is going to have Lachlan Urquhart to deal with in a minute or two. So he just closes up a bit there on JCW, and of course then the 035 of Daniel Heddersheed is making his way through rapidly. So Urquhart battling away with that. Heddersheed up 15 positions, if you don't mind, and he's about to make up, or almost about to make up another position there as he tried to get underneath Lachlan Urquhart on the entrance to the bank section of the track.
And all this battling is helping out Josh Micklemore, so it's helping him catch up to the back of this little pack of cars.
Indeed, yeah.
And that will eventually help out Neil Pearson as well. He's got a lot of gap to make up, but he's trying to do it. Lachlan Urquhart just goes a little bit wide, manages to save it somehow. Look at this. Heddersheed gets he up and under. He's going to get underneath Urquhart now. He's going to get a better run off that corner and get up another position. Josh Micklemore looking to follow him through right here as well. Micklemore's going to gain a spot possibly. They come down to the chicane. They're too wide. Oh, it's going to be tight, but Urquhart decides to just brake a little bit harder just to save himself a big accident.
Gets out of that one there, so Micklemore makes up another position. Heddersheed now 16 to the good. Decision to start. Imagine where he would have been if he hadn't started in pit lane.
I've got a feeling Heddersheed might have had an end of line penalty.
I wondered if you were going to. I wondered if you were going to defeat me with that one, Carl. I rolled two snake eyes and lost that battle as Skirley gets a little bit loose there. Manages to hold it up, but he is closing on ever so slightly on Edward Foster in front of him. The gap to the front in front of him is a whopping 14 seconds from Andrew Dyson. So no doubt he'll be pulling over to get some KFC shortly, and then he'll jump back out on the track. But Trahere here now has Daniel Heddersheed to deal with. Hennessy through this section. Will he get the run? It's a bit too far back, you think, to get the run down into the final corner. Into the bus stop, but he may be able to set it up for a run down into the final corner. So it just depends on getting a good exit here. And he does. It's just that management of the throttle there, doing a really good job. Draher equally doing the same as we stick on board here with Hennessy as they head down towards the final chicane. Just hear him there getting on early, just getting it pulled up, using all the available road on the left-hand side of the track to open the corner up as much as possible. Does a great job there, nice and close to the wall. He's going to have a look. Oh, just not quite close enough. We saw him pull that move off on Josh Mickelmore a couple of laps ago down into turn 1 with great success, but Draher aware to it, just managing here in the Night Call Racing 043 entry header sheet again, just having another look. Luke will have one eye on the road in front and one eye on the mirror, no doubt, just trying to see how he can manage header sheet behind him. Great driving from Daniel.
Uses the back end, manages just to save that one. Big moment though for Lockie, and those tyres will be a little bit hot now, but that's okay as Riley Curtis goes off the track, and that's going to give another position to Hennessy and to Luke Draher. So those guys moving up, as well as JCW, of course. So a few cars just moving up a couple of positions. Just going to go back and see what happened to Riley there. I think
it looked like he outbraked himself. Yeah, it looked like he outbraked himself and just ran off on that corner. It did say we'll catch people out.
He caught the blue curb. So he just caught the curb. He went a little bit too tight through the corner and caught the big blue sausage curb, and that's not the corner you want to do it on. Turn number 7, turn number 5 even, and that really put the car off track and made a big difference there. Meanwhile, the battle is still on between Hennessy and Draher. Those two are fighting away. You can see Hennessy absolutely on the verge of the grass there. Just absolutely taking as much track as possible. Going to get a good run out here. Going to try for the first corner move. Late braking, goes down the inside. The 035 making the move. Luke Draher trying his best to defend, but not much you can do in that position. A little bit of damage on the front of Draher's car, possibly not helping him through the oval section, and that has been a fantastic little battle and a fantastic pass there from Hennessy.
Dare I say, he just grabbed a little bit too much of the sausage curve there through the chicane. It slowed him up and bumped him wide on the exit, and that opened it up for Daniel Hennessy, who got through there, got a better exit, and was able to execute a pass down into turn 1. So we've seen him use that move probably 2 or 3 times so far this evening, Hennessy. Don't be too surprised if he now spreads the gap between himself and Luke Draher, catches up to Joshua Carroll-Walden and sees what he can do there to break into the top 6.
He's going to be trying his best. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson's all over the back of Lachlan Urquio, so that battle is getting a little bit heated, and Lachlan's going to have to be defending a little bit now, but there is an absolute train of cars there, so there's an interesting little gaggle of vehicles starting to form, and we're going to get some good battles out on the track.
To be brutally honest, the where Damon Stockton ran into Pearson, it could have been a heck of a lot worse. He's actually hit him right at the left-hand rear wheel, and it looks like he hit him almost square on. So the damage to the number 9 is limited. You can see there's a tiny little bit of damage on that corner, but not a lot. So he got really lucky, Pearson, out of a bad situation, and he's being able to use his pace still to make his way through the field. Probably not quite so easily as he would have expected, but still managing to make up that gap.
Yeah, very much making the best of a bad situation with that one. And as you said, luckily he got sort of T-boned right on the section where there's a nice big roll cage on that car, so it's not going to be too much damage. It's a very strong point of the vehicle, and it didn't hit the suspension, most importantly, because if that went into the front suspension or the rear, that could have easily broken a rod, and that would have been that. Pearson getting a good run on Urquio now onto... Well, just about to get onto the oval section. Pearson is going to get a good run here. He's going to try and use a little bit of that drafting action and probably make a bit of a move down towards the bus stop. Lachlan Urquio trying his best to block him out. Doing a good job of defending at the moment. This battle is for P10 as it stands. Urquio just sitting that car nice and in the middle of the track. So Pearson can't really do anything, but just catches a bit too much curb, and that's going to let Pearson get through.
Yeah, same thing there. It's having the Draher on board a lap earlier, just... too much of that curb throws the car out. It means you're trying to catch it rather than get out of the corner, and that opens the gap for Pearson nicely. So he moves up another position in this resurgence. He's now inside the top 10. Meanwhile,
teammates are starting to catch each other as Hennessy's on the back of JCW. So the move upwards is going well for them. JCW up 4 positions, Hennessy up 18 positions. So definitely got a big mover of the night going on. The battle up the front, meanwhile, Dyson has got a 16-second lead now, just pulling away nicely. Foster's managed to build a bit of a gap over Skirley, so about 2 seconds between himself and Skirley. Then a little bit further back to Hamish Gallagher, about 5 seconds off Michael Skurlock. Stevie Dubb is sitting just in front of JCW and Hennessy now, so those two are... That battle is going to start getting closer and closer as this race goes on, and I think this might be Stockton possibly losing it into the first corner.
He's actually lost his motor on the way into the first corner, and that is all she wrote. The 696 is out of the race.
Yeah, a lot of damage to the front of that car. Not a surprise that that engine was not going to last, and looked a bit like a melted M&M, and that engine has melted itself, so... very much it. Hennessy getting down underneath Joshua Carroll Walden now. A little bit of nice teamwork there, and not too much of a fight putting up from JCW. Hennessy now got his eyes firmly set on the fluorescent green, the Stevie Dubb in the 98.
Yeah, well, I mean, team orders-wise, well, not that there are team orders, but team-wise, if Hennessy can get up in front of Hamish Gallagher, that's going to help Foster. And any positions that they can push those Mitch Motorsport boys back is going to help Edward Foster. So orders here from Foster, if there are any guys, get up in front of those Mitch Motorsport boys, push them as far back as you can. I'll do my bit. If you do your bit, it'll help the team out massively.
Speaking of Mitch Motorsport cars going a little bit backwards, that is Josh Mickelmore at the moment just getting passed by Neil Pearson. Pearson just making a nice move through the first set of corners, getting in front of Mickelmore and trying to get a bit of a recovery. Next on his hit list is going to be Luke Traher.
Yeah, Traher's got a little bit of a gap, 2.6 to the good at the moment. We're 16 through 45 here, so we're getting towards pit stop territory. But at the moment, it is still another few laps to go before we do. So the drivers are wanting to make it to at least lap 22 if they can, to stop, and then anywhere thereafter we'll see them home, change of tyres. So the longer they wait, the better towards the end of the race. Particularly if someone like Pearson has had to charge hard the whole way through, he will be rewarded handsomely by a new set of 4 tyres on the number 9 entry. So the question is, when does he do it?
Pulling that trigger is going to be the important one. If you pull it too early, you're going to suffer later in the race. If you pull it too late, you might have lost too much time. A few drivers, it's going to be critical to get that pit stop right, because new to fresh tyres will give you a good couple of seconds over the guys in front of you. So it's going to be a little bit important to get that. But remember, fresh tyres do drop off, and then the driver behind has those fresh tyres to fight with at the end of the race. So you see a little bit of topsy-turvy going on in that respect. And
we did see that in the Thunder Series here, where a number of drivers left it late to pit and they just weren't quite able. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. I think it might have even been Lockie Urquhart who pitted late, got fresh tyres, had the pace, but just not enough laps to make that tyre change that he did count towards the end of that race. So the timing of the pit stop is critical, but of course they're not going to make it on fuel anyway, so they're going to have to get it done.
Yeah, that's it, and it is that thing. If you do sometimes gamble to go in a little bit later thinking you'll have more pace than you do, and sometimes people just find some pace from nowhere, and that's it. Hennessy getting very close to Stevie Dubb there, just getting a little bit of a lock-up, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time on the exit. So you can see that gap just grows a little bit. Stevie Dubb just driving calmly and nicely in front at the moment. Hennessy putting a lot of pressure on the back of the 98.
So it's shaping up nicely here, Carl, for a little bit of a Natari DPR battle when we get towards the end. We've got Williams, obviously, of DPR green M&M fame. Neil Pearson, the red M&M, is on his way through the field, and Daiso well out in front. But then you've got Hennessy, Carroll Walden and Foster as well. So the DPR guys, as I said, will be looking to try and resurrect their challenge for the title. And at this stage, it's Foster looking to move into the lead to defend his title, with Martin suffering from that early incident. So it could get pretty spicy towards the end, I reckon.
Yeah, I think we've got a bit of a classic working its way through here. As I said, I think Daiso's, unless something major happens. Stevie Dub just making a little bit of an error there through the bus stop, and that's going to give Hedashid the chance, and he's going to take that one very quickly, like snatching an M&M from a baby.
Wholeheartedly moves his way through now into P5. Cracking drive from Hedashid. So he's now in pursuit. He's got a little bit of time now, 9.7 or just under 10 seconds up the street is Hamish Gallagher. So, and the front is sort of spread. We've got 40 seconds in the lead, or I should say it's only a gap of 20 seconds in the lead, 30 seconds now over Edward Foster, but it's nice to gap the rest of the way down, about 5 seconds between the remaining drivers. So Foster's to Skurlock to Gallagher as we head towards that pit window opening.
Just jumping back to JCW right now, he has got Luke Traher all over the back of him, the Way Down podcast sponsored Nightcrawler Racing. Really doing its job behind him at the moment. Luke Traher in the 43, putting all the pressure he can on JCW, and just behind that you will notice a slightly red car of Neil Pearson, who's caught up to the back of this fight as well. So these two battling it out is just going to help Pearson get up there a little bit quicker. Quite a high attrition rate so far. We've lost a few cars, so it looks like we've lost everybody down from P19, so 7 cars out of the race by the looks of things, and that's worked out that's worked out quite well for Jason Martin, because that's got him up to P13 in this race. There's a damage limitation coming into effect there.
Yeah, which obviously is really important after the start.
Yeah, after that little incident getting spun as well, that really hurt Martin for this race. And look, if he can get inside the top 15, that's going to be a decent result, and will be a fairly nice haul of points for him as well. So, you know, it's not the worst case scenario situation. It's better than a DNF, that's for sure.
This battle that we're on board with now, with Traher behind Joshua Carroll-Warden's also helping out Neil Pearson, who's closing the gap, who is chasing down Luke Traher. So Traher needs to try and find a way past here if he can. Perhaps JCW just burning up the tyres a little more than Traher. We say it quite often, Traher very good at managing tyres to get the full trick out of them across the stint. So at the moment he looks like he's bearing the fruit of that a little bit, and JCW just starting to struggle a little bit as he closes up here into the first of the chicanes, and good exit there from Traher. He's right on the bumper of the 35. The Tari Auto Sport entry, just suffering a bit for that damage, but he should be able to put the pressure on here.
And the biggest problem Traher has right now is he's going to have to start looking in his mirrors.
Yep, I was going to say, is that right behind him, that red Simrigs.com entry. I don't think he's going to put up much of a fight here as Pearson looks to go down the inside into turn 1, and he just lets him through. I think Traher realising that he's in a slightly different fight tonight. Albeit Pearson running wide there, and Traher just putting the pressure back on him on the flip-flop, trying to get it done.
Riley Curtis coming into pit lane, so first of drivers to pit. We've got 25 laps remaining. Riley Curtis coming in right now, and I'm wondering if he's coming in for a full stop or if he's just had a big incident. I'm just going to double check there's not a big accident. It looks like he's just coming in for a bit of a stop. Looks like he was just struggling on those rears. That final lap he was really struggling. So first of the stoppers is Riley Curtis. So we're going to get an idea of how much faster they can go on fresh tyres right now. So watching from Luke Traher's car, you can see Neil Pearson just in front in the number 9 DPR entry. He makes a good run on the exit of the bus stop, gets underneath JCW at the moment. JCW is just going to try and slot that car in so he can't make a move in the final chicane. As we say, it's very hard to pass in that final chicane. JCW just positioning that car very well, and that's going to hinder Pearson a little bit, who gets a very good run through that corner and is going to make that move into turn 1 once more. Gets a good exit out the corner, dives down into turn 1. JCW just having to give a little bit of room, and he makes it open for Luke Traher, who gets through. Side by side, through a very tight part of the track is Trahair and JCW. JCW's got the inside. He manages to just about fend off Trahair, who might be able to get the up and under right here, but this is giving the option to Josh Micklemore as well. Micklemore into this battle now for P7, 8 and 9.
Yeah, you can see what...
Trahair makes a mistake. Trahair goes across the curb, and that's going to cost him.
So you can see what Pearson was trying to do there. He set that up very early on into the entrance into the last chicane. He was early on the brakes, looking to maximise the drive out of the final corner, and did so, and was able to then get up alongside JCW and push the number 9 DPR entry through into turn 1. Well-engineered move.
Indeed. Next up, he has got Stevie Dub in front of him, so I imagine that's not going to be too much of a well-fought position. It will just be a little bit of a wave by. Hello, sir. How are you going today? I hope you're all well. If Pearson is indeed faster than Stevie Dub at this stage of the race, I think they'll just quietly let each other just go past like ships in the night. Not worry too much. But JCW coming into pit lane right now, so JCW's pulled a trigger. He's going to get a bit of an advantage from this on those fresher tyres, so he's going to be able to gain a little bit of time with that, but it will come back to bite him later on.
Yeah, absolutely. It did look like he was struggling with the rears there when he was battling away with Trahair, so no surprises there that he's jumping in now that he can make it to the end.
So just looking for those lap times, just waiting for Riley Curtis to finish his first full lap on those fresh tyres to get a bit of an idea of what the difference is. Jason Martin and Matty Ray coming into pit lane as well. Quite a few drivers have made a stop too in this situation, so we'll see how that one goes. But Riley Curtis is going to come across the line, and his time is I can't actually see on my screen because it's just flashing up. It's a 1:22.2. So, to give you an idea, Dyso's time was 1:23.1 last time round, so almost a second faster than Andrew Dyson. Foster coming into pit lane. Foster has pulled his pin, and he's decided to come in slightly earlier. Skurlock sticks it out, though. Skurley's going to stick it out there for another lap. So Skurley going for a slightly longer stint. Hamish Gallagher in pit lane. Will we see Hennessy coming in this time as well, or will he try and stick it out a little bit longer to try and have fresher tyres towards the end? Looks like he's sticking it out that tiny bit longer. So we've got a mix of strategies going on right here. Neil Pearson, Josh Micklemore into pit lane as well. Stevie Dub keeping it out there for another lap. So a few drivers trying to go a little bit longer, try to get the advantage of the fresher tyres later in the race. This is where that strategy game is going to come into play.
Absolutely. Well, Dyson at the moment 31 seconds ahead of Michael Skurlock. So he has plenty of time to consider what he wants to do.
So currently got the abacus out and is running the old system of working out when to pit, because he doesn't really need to make a rush of it.
Makes me think of the ballad of Ricky Bobby. They're just driving around the track so far in the lead that they're just having a conversation about things. That's probably what he's doing at the moment. But it just shows you how dominant Daiso is on the circuit. It's really, really good to see. We haven't given him a lot of coverage because it's been a solo flight, but he's doing very, very well as we expected. And he'll take out the treble. Will have won here if he concludes tonight. He will have won here in the trucks, in the Thunder Series, and in the Cup, of course, as well. This will be the one that he wanted the most.
Yeah, really good job. Skurley's sticking it out there as well. So Skurlock is sticking it out for another lap. So he's going a couple of laps longer than Foster, which is going to hurt him in the short hurt him in the short term, but in the long term he's going to have better times towards the end of the race. So Skurley's trying something a little bit different right now, and he's going to try for this one. Steve Williams coming in this time. So Williams in pit lane, so he's decided it's time for him to pull the trigger.
It's a good call from Brad Allison in the chat. He said he thought that he might have stayed out to lead a lap just to grab that point. That's a really, really good call, and has not done so. So he could have played that tactic, particularly with Martin down in 12th, and looking like this season every point is going to count. So
the trouble with that, though, is you've got a chase driver in the lead of the race that doesn't want anybody to lead a lap. So I think Daiso has the opportunity to stick it out there as long as he wants and wait for everybody behind him to take a pit stop. So he could just stick it out there for another 4 or 5 laps and not have to worry about it, because he's not going to lose a huge amount of time. I mean, with that 30-second lead, it gives him that opportunity to just stick it out there as long as possible as Skurlock comes into pit lane. So we'll see now where Skurly comes out and see how far behind Foster he is, and if he can indeed gain that time back.
Yeah, absolutely. But, as Phil Otto has just jumped in and said, Daiso, you've got this nice and smooth, mate. Absolutely. That's all it's been all night so far.
And Hedesheed in as well this lap, so Skurly and Hedesheed coming in. So there's only one car that hasn't pitted yet, and that is Andrew Dyson, who is just leaving it out there and just having a nice cruise around and seeing what he can do. Just going to run it to a lower fuel tank setting and just have a bit of a Thursday night drive as he comes into pit lane.
Just to tidy that one off. So he'll grab an ice cream, have a little bit of a chat, and then make his way back out onto the track.
I think I haven't tortured you yet, Stuart, so I think it's about time.
Goodness, mate.
So
relying on the fans here for this one.
So, I love being evil. The Grand Prix of Charlotte, of course, where the Charlotte Roval effectively comes from, was held from 1971 onwards. A lot of Americans won it up until 2000. There was always an American on the podium every year that was run, and this was effectively the Grand Prix one. So, out of all the Americans that won, I won't ask you to name all of them, but there were 2 European drivers that won the race. One in 79 and one in 85. Can you name the 2 drivers that won the Grand Prix of Charlotte that were not American?
Oof.
I'll give Stuart a couple of moments to think about that one. Oh, as
just the
Dyson
going into the wall, and Dyson into the wall as well.
To go into the wall. Yeah, that's thrown Daiso off. That is a big one there.
He's just on cold tyres, not able to get it done there onto the banking.
Matty Ray loses it out of the slight lip there, bounces back, and I think Daiso just made in reaction to that. He just moved into reaction to that and just didn't have enough time to turn and just gets into the wall. So a little bit of damage there to the race leader.
Yeah, just gets into the wall there. Pulls it up a little bit, manages to avoid a lot of damage. And he's just got some damage to the right-hand front corner there, so that would have been a scary moment for Andrew Dyson. But still 18 seconds to the good out in front of this race.
Foster's got a 10-second lead over Skurly now by sticking it out, by going in early, I should say. He managed to build up a nice big lead over Skurlock and get that 10-second lead. But Skurly is now on those fresh tyres, so he's going to be coming back at Foster, needing to make up that time. But can he make up 10 seconds? That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, Neil Pearson just getting past Hamish, just getting past JCW, and Daniel Hedesheed right behind him at the moment. So JCW losing out. JCW first into pit lane. He gained a fair few positions out of that, but now the tyre advantage is not paying off in his favour. But one thing it has done is moved Neil Pearson slightly in front of Daniel Hedesheed. Remember, Pearson came in a little bit earlier. Hedesheed stayed out there a little bit longer.
So we'll see how that one plays out. But Dyson's still just comfortably in the lead.
As Hedesheed is all over the back of Pearson at the moment for P5, so the battle is on a little bit further down the pack at the moment between Natari and DPR, two cars with red adorning them and black. Very different teams, very different drivers, but Hedesheed may have a little bit of an advantage here on those slightly fresher tyres. So it's going to be a real battle here. Pearson is going to have to do all he can to defend, but will he have enough tyre grip to do it? He is really pushing it at the moment because Hedesheed just trying to go left, right, left, can't quite make it past. Thinking about making a move possibly into the bus stop here. Not close enough this time. He's going to try possibly into turn 1, I'd say, see if he can get a better run off that final chicane.
Lose that little bit of time there, not quite able to get it done, I don't think, this time around. But he has got some pace. See if can he get it done down into turn 1 here. Got a good exit of the corner, so did Pearson. Hennessy just holds up a little bit there on the brakes, just manages to close that gap down a little bit.
Going to try towards turn 4, I reckon. He gets down the inside. Pearson sees it happening, blocks it off a little bit. Hennessey's able to just take a slightly tighter line right here. So Pearson will just run a little bit wide. He'll probably lose a little bit of speed here. Hennessey's going to get a good run here. Can't quite make it up through turn number 5. 6 and 7, not really a great opportunity to pass, but this could be a good opportunity coming out of turn 8 if Hennessey can keep right on the back of Pearson right here. That will help out as there is a puff of smoke in front of them as Pearson just goes a little bit wide, loses a little bit of momentum there, and this is going to be it for Hennessey. This is going to give him a little bit of advantage. As he makes the move.
Closes that one out, moves up another position, so 20 positions gained again for Daniel Hennessey. And he's now off in pursuit of Hamish Gallagher here, if he can get hold of him. Josh Carroll-Walden not too far off behind Neil Pearson. Of course, both have stopped. So Josh Micklemore also running there, about 6 seconds behind JCW. And up at the front, things pretty stable with Andrew Dyson leading this race.
So there was a bit of a puff of smoke as Hennessey and Pearson got into that corner, and that was Matty Hunter just losing the rear, just going through turn number 7, unfortunately. Managed to get off the racing line though, did not get involved in that one. Yeah, that was what that little bit of smoke was from. So any clues, Stuart? Any thought put into this one?
1979. So can I ask a question?
You can.
What, I mean, you said Formula. I'm assuming that are we talking?
We're talking GT cars. It's not.
No, and that's where I start to lose out because my I've got some reasonable Formula 1 history, but I don't have a lot of knowledge outside of that in terms of GT racing and the like. Look,
okay, I'll help you out a little bit. One was from Belgium and one was from England.
Yeah, look, I've got no idea about the Belgian. Was the Englishman later on in life? Was that the later of the dates?
Yes.
It was. And what year were we talking there? You said 1979 and 1985.
They both played in Formula 1?
Okay, so I'm going to, in 1985 then, an Englishman... I'm going to go too early here, and I'm going too late here, and I'm going to make myself look a little bit foolish. But I'm going to go Nigel Mansell.
No, very wrong.
Very wrong. Yeah, it's way too early, and I've got no idea. I've got no idea about the Swede. Larson.
Belgium.
The Belgian Larson.
No, Jackie X and Derek Bell.
Oh right, Derek Bell. I didn't even think of Derek Bell. Well, there you go. No, completely stuffed as always. I seem to only do really well with these quizzes when when Scotty's in the booth, but no such go tonight. But I was miles away. Jackie Hicks, why didn't I even think of that? Anyway, we move along.
I've got a backup question if you need one.
Oh well, yeah, sure. I absolutely love looking foolish live on air. Let's do it.
Okay, well, the Grand Prix of the. Charlotte was held in 2000. There was a few dates where it wasn't held, from 87 to 99. It was back in the American Le Mans series. Now, it was a special race because Audi had to take their main car to Europe. So Audi didn't have their regular car, which was of course the R8 back then. So they had to bring the second car, the R8R, from prior years, which meant that they were a little bit out of sync for the race. So that's a hint for you. So what manufacturer won the 2000 round of the Charlotte Grand Prix, or the American Le Mans version of the Charlotte Grand Prix? That's 2000. And it wasn't Audi. So. No,
I was going to say, I have a feeling that it was a German manufacturer that wasn't Audi, and that it was the barons of the Big Bertha, that it was BMW.
It was indeed the BMW V12 LMR driven by JJ Leto and Jörg Müller.
I do remember watching that race, so that helps me a little bit. But there you go. So 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
No, you did well.
I'm disappointed in the Formula 1 questions, the Formula 1 drivers, but I'll live to fight another day. We've got 14 here to go as Dyson continues to lead. Edward Foster in second place, Michael Skurlock in third. Things are sort of spaced out a little bit now. Neil Pearson's got a second advantage over Joshua Carroll-Walden in P6. Daniel Heddersheed, though, has gapped this pairing. He's now 6 seconds to the good in pursuit of Hamish Gallagher ahead of him. He'll be trying to hunt down that position. He's got time to do it if he's got the tyre to do it. He did pit later than Hamish Gallagher. That's going to help him towards the end of this race. But beyond that, it's pretty well under control right throughout the field.
Yeah, Foster really had made that stop pay off for himself. He's got a good lead over Skurlock, and they're setting pretty equal times as well. Foster actually a little bit faster than Skurley that last time round, so that is really paying off for Foster. Meanwhile, Gallagher has got about 4 seconds to make up on Skurley if he can. But Skurley is on slightly fresher tyres, so that little battle will be interesting to see how that one pans out.
We haven't spoken much about Hamish at all tonight. He's actually in exactly the same position that he started the race in, so P4, and has just maintained himself here. This will be a good bank for him. Of course, he'd love to be up 1 or 2 positions further, but it's at this point it's all about making sure that every race counts, and P4 ain't that bad, that is for sure.
Yeah, it's not a bad position to finish in at all, and again for the chase, it's a relatively good one to have. So he's going to be really hoping that he can just keep in that position, because that's just a solid finish. Although there are three other chase drivers in front of him, which he won't be too happy about, but he is going to be sitting in a relatively sweet spot, because he currently sits third in the chase championship, 16 points off the lead. He's only a single position behind Foster at the moment, so it's not too bad damage control, and he is ahead of, he's behind Skurley as well, so Skurley will outscore Gallagher, so it will actually drop Gallagher down a position, but it still keeps him in contention for the chase, and that's the main thing.
And doing a good job. So Phil rejoicing that it's the first and last of the road courses in the chase. He's looking forward to getting back out onto the oval, and Gail's challenged me to give you a question that you don't know the answer to, Carl, because obviously you prepare the questions so you know all the answers. But Gail, there is a big push on for Carl to participate in the Pro-Am Pass 2 race on a Tuesday night, and it is a different series. It's a GT circuit racing series that we broadcast on a Tuesday night, and there's a lot of votes getting towards getting him into that one as retribution for the questions that he asked me during the quiz. So just get behind that cause if you like. We want to see Carl out there having a run in the Pass 2 series on a Tuesday night in a Porsche, nonetheless, as well, just to add salt to the wound.
That's just mean. It's going to be nice to you and give you a little hint about Derek Bell by telling you he's a Porsche driver as well.
I can't believe I didn't even think of Derek Bell. I'm disappointed in myself for that, and I knew Nigel Mansell was way too. Yeah, I mean, Nigel Mansell would have been 10.
He was racing in Formula 1 by then.
In 85? 86?
Yeah.
He would have been young.
Nigel was old.
An old champion, or an old runner.
Oh, he's just old.
Yeah, just old.
Nigel was born old.
Even in his 20s, he was old and jaded.
I think Nigel Mansell was born at the age of 50. So yeah, I think it was
Benjamin Button, you reckon?
I think it was like 81 he entered Formula 1 with Lotus. So so he's racing in F1 since the early 80s. So yeah.
Well, I do have an excuse there. I was negative 2, so I've got a slight excuse there.
Well, how do you think I am?
Well, yeah, okay, but I wasn't the one asking the questions. So I was just sort of getting into the groove. Good news is that Big Dave's on board, Phil's on board. So I reckon it's going to happen, Carl. I reckon we're going to get you into Pass 2 for the end of the season. At Bathurst, nonetheless.
Oh god, no, not Bathurst. Anywhere, I'd say anywhere but Bathurst, but no, there are few other tracks that I'm terrified of.
Well, I mean, we're not at the Berg or anything like that, so you've got some relief there. Anyway, but we'll bring it back under the control here. We're just having a look at Mickey Skurlock, another one who's been able to run a fairly smooth managed race tonight. He was challenging Foster early on, if you have just joined us, but that gap has grown, and he's just getting past Scott Griffiths now. And we'll just be happy, I think, again, he's back in that form, Skirley, where he's just always there or thereabouts, so either in the top 3 or just on the edge of it. So with the championship standings, how will this play out for him tonight, Carl? Is he looking? This will move him up a couple of positions, particularly with Martin dropping a couple, who's going to drop a few points, of course, as well.
I think so. I'm doing maths as well. I think Pearson. So I think there are a few drivers out of position, so I think it's going to help a little bit. But maths is not my strong point.
He's going to make up. He's going to make up places. That's for sure. Obviously, with him being ahead of Josh Mickelmore, given he'll close the gap there to the Mitch Motorsport boys. Not obviously quite so much to Hamish Gallagher.
Big one is going to be Danny G as well. Being ahead of Danny G is crucial. Because Danny G's had a really good qualifying, but dropped down to P14, unfortunately. So that's going to help as well, because Danny G and Josh Mickelmore are ahead. So that could be a chance to... it'll be a chance to jump Danny G. He's a bit too far to jump Josh Mickelmore.
And of course, Andrew Dyson will make up some positions here as well, with those issues that DPR had to battle with. It's a bit of misfortune in those first couple of, certainly not the first week, but in the weeks following on from that. So
yeah, I think Dyson might move up to around about P8 possibly. So it's or maybe P9. It's gonna help a little bit, but the sort of slump that DPR faced is really. It's really hurt them now, because it's at that time of the chase. We've still got 4 rounds to go, of course, but it is at a point where they had a slump just in the worst kind of time, and it's hard to build your momentum back up sometimes.
Yeah, well, we're heading to Texas. We've still got Kansas, Martinsville, and Phoenix to come. So, obviously there's the Mitch Motorsport boys. They'll favour their chances across that stretch. And that's not to say DPR won't either, but obviously there's been form.
Will they be resurgent like a phoenix? That's the question.
Well, they may well be, or will they burn equally like the same animal? So, but we'll see. I mean, obviously we expected a really strong performance here tonight from DPR. A bit of bad luck for Neil Pearson early on, and Andrew Dyson's come out and done exactly what we expected him to do. And that's not to say it's easy, but he has come out and shown what he wants to think. In fact, it was Skirley who finished third. In fact, I think the finishing order in Xfinity was Dyson from Foster from Skurlock. And at the time, both Foster and Skirley were just blown away by the fact that there's an extra second a lap in the car. Both pretty handy drivers in their own respect. And again, Dyson's come out and done it tonight in a completely different set of equipment. So there's no fluke to it whatsoever. It was always on to put in a good performance here tonight, but not without a challenge. Obviously, with that little issue with Matty Ray, Mr. Sheen himself, just getting out of that one. So, but just demonstrates how strong a driver he is.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, but the other thing as well is take that away from Foster as well. They are really pedaling hard, and
absolutely,
they are. It's one of the things, though. We've seen Daiso, I mean, obviously, in just going back to Ozpass, we've seen Daiso mix it up with some of the top GT drivers out there. Dyson is a bit of a freak, to put it politely. He is very quick and just very good at keeping that car absolutely pristine. Just one of those drivers that you just go, wow, it's crazy that, you are that quick. But it shines a bit more on a road course, because there are those little places where you can gain that time once you get back on the ovals, it's sort of it's a great equaliser, because even when you are quick, it's very hard to break away from the pack, and very rare that you'll get a sort of domination like this, unless you're sort of using a slightly tweaked Mercedes engine in the back of a car at the Indianapolis circuit. Now, other than that, it's very rare for oval races to be won by more than a couple of seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is not a track conducive to huge sweeping wins. It's just not that long. So, to have a driver out in front by 35 seconds ahead of particularly the drivers that you mentioned there, they're no slouches whatsoever. So, just shows you where it's at, and it's one of the strengths of the DPR team. They're really, really good at it. So, I think Dyson running 5th potentially. Don't quote me on it, but in the ASOC. Friday night V8 Supercar League as well, so extraordinarily capable, and Neil Pearson, everyone knows him and how strong a driver he can be as well. So it's not out of the realms of possibility here for DPR to make a late charge and potentially challenge for the chase win, but it's going to be very hard given those 2 or 3 rounds in between that first week where we saw them lock the podium out.
I think the hardest thing for DPR to come back with now is the fact that they've got to consistently beat and have people like Foster, Martin, Gallagher, Micklemore have bad weeks every week. Skurlock as well. Sorry, but not glossing over Skurlock there. They need Skurlock. They need all of those drivers to have a bad next 4 weeks, and I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see all of those drivers have a terrible time, and it would just be. It would be very unlikely that all of those drivers would have such bad luck that they would drop down and really, really drop down to a point where they're losing too many points. All that they need to do is just have good, consistent finishes right here.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we saw a strong performance from Daiso at Texas on Wednesday night, or last night. My goodness, that was only last night. In a very caution-affected run, completely different car again to what we're in tonight. So, but he'll take confidence out of that into that round when we head to Texas next week. So, there's benefit to that for him. But you're right. I mean, you talk about Michael Skurlock, you talk about Hamish Gallagher, like names that repeatedly throughout the series. There was a period, I think, at the start of the season where Michael Skurlock couldn't lose a race. So all that they need to have happen is for that to strike again, and it's going to be really tough.
It is indeed, and as I said, coming into this race, Skirley was sitting in joint position with that man in the lead, Andrew Dyson, foremost wins of the season with 5, which is an incredible job. I mean, look, 5 wins in a season is great.
Huge.
Neil Pearson with 4 wins this season. They've had a great year, those guys. Jason Martin's only had 3 victories this season in the Cup, which just says just how much competition there is going on at the moment throughout the series. We've had some real big competition this year, and it has not been it's not been a single driver absolutely dominated. We've seen a couple of weeks where drivers have dominated, but there's not been a period where it's been just absolute domination week after week. Obviously, Josh Micklemore had a great season with consistency. Got 2 wins, of course, but didn't have didn't put a foot wrong through the whole of the regular season, but in the chase has not had that consistency and had a couple of moments. Hamish Gallagher's not had a single win this season, sitting in P3 in the chase. He's still trying to get that debut win for the Cup season, which just says about that consistency being key. Gallagher's had 12 top 5 finishes this season and 23 top 10 finishes. It's a ridiculously good stats.
Well, and again, I mean, defending champion Edward Foster, he hasn't won really anything. He obviously had a really strong run in the trucks and took that out, but it's a completely different beast to this. And he did the same. Well, I say he did the same thing. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he did the same thing last year, where he had a really, really strong chase campaign and ended up taking out the title. So. He's in a similar position again this year, where that consistency's got him to the chase, and at the right time of the year he's firing.
took him 30 races to get that win this season in the Cup Series, which just says everything about how competitive the Cup Series is. Taking that win at Las Vegas was fantastic for Foster, and he's been pretty consistent again and just keeping it there. He had a terrible start to the chase, but it has got better from there, and it's from the way it goes. It's just, again, consistency is a huge point in motorsport, and it is a vital tool to have in your arsenal.
As we say, all of that, it has run down. We've got 3 laps to go here for Andrew Dyson as he gets towards halfway through one of those 3 laps. And
speaking of consistency, just want to jump to Jason Martin. We've not really seen him too much. We saw him at the start of the broadcast and had a bit of a chat to him. We saw him get tagged early in the race and get sent to the back of the field effectively. He's worked his way back up to P11, so effectively null and voided that incident and is possibly going to finish where he started. So that's
damage
a
control.
Really good runner. Yeah, it's damage control at its best.
And what's scary is at his weakest round.
Yeah.
Like self-professed at his weakest round. So it just shows you that the cream generally always rises to the top, and he's done a good job tonight just to manage his race back. And a bit of that is experience as well, obviously getting that damage early on in the race. Same with Neil Pearson. It would be very easy for it to wreck the night, but Pearson's fought his way back up to P6, Martin up to P11, so they'll reap the rewards for that and go on into next week.
Yeah.
You're talking about the strength of the series. Need to remind everyone that I'm pretty sure, again, Carl, I keep saying, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's because I just haven't been around ANZCAR long enough to know all this stuff yet, but I'll build on that. This is Dyson's first full campaign in the Cup Series as well. He is a circuit specialist, or whatever you want to say, obviously really strong on the circuits, but halfway through the year, he hadn't even won or earlier on in the year, I should say. It wasn't halfway through, but early in the year, he hadn't won an over race. He told us, I think, 2 or 3 broadcasts ago, that in his first race, I think he finished 33rd or 40th. He had no idea what he was doing, and very quickly has built himself up to be one of the front runners in the category.
Yeah, very much so. He started out last season in the Cup and just had a terrible start. Jumped out, didn't come back, but then came back this year and put up a full campaign. Was running in the trucks and the Xfinity cars a little bit, but just getting used to the oval side of things. And really, it sort of all started with the breakout win. Obviously, Daiso got that win at COTA, Sonoma, but then getting to Nashville and getting that win on the oval, it just built up the confidence, and we've seen Dyson just manage to get those a couple of extra wins. I mean, Dyson's only had the 1 win in the Cup Series on an oval so far. All the rest have been on road courses, but he's managed to do it. He's managed to win a race in the Cup Series on an oval, which is arguably his weakest round, and he has been improving week after week, and we see it every time we see Dyson. He's just improving. He's like a sponge. He just absorbs all the information and just gets better and better as he comes onto the oval for the final time tonight, and will be heading towards another victory, and that will be victory number 6 in the ANZCAR series for the Cup, and another win for him is just a remarkable thing. As we said, first win for him in the Chase series. There's only one driver that's taken 2 wins so far this Chase year, and that's Jason Martin, but it's been so competitive out there. Last time out we saw Danny G taking it, Foster, Neil Pearson, all Chase contenders taking victories so far, and Andrew Dyson is adding his name to that list as he comes across the line for the final time in the orange DPR car and makes a bit of a show of it.
Gives it a big drift on the way out as well. We love that. I'm just going to very quickly, it actually isn't that as close as it's just spaced out a little bit there, but Hamish Gallagher closed down to under a second onto the back of Michael Skurlock, who's currently running 3rd. That gap has spaced out again now, so barring any incident, it is Edward Foster is going to bring the 53 Atari Autosport entry across the line in P2, and then it will be the Welsh Harry Potter, the Welsh Nibbler, Michael Skurlock in the 350 entry, bring it across to take out P3 here at the Charlotte Roval. A fantastic result there, a really good race run. Hamish Gallagher into P4 as he brings it home. And it will be Daniel Hedersheed who's going to bring it across the line in P5, not too far behind him. Again, a good job from that, his teammate there. Norm Clark just in front of him, but he's going to bring that home. Talk about a man who I'm looking forward to seeing run a full campaign next year. Daniel Hedersheed, my goodness, one on debut and a P5 here tonight as well. So reasonably proficient on the circuit. So a good result there for Natari, but Andrew Dyson just enjoy some of this action as he drifts his way around this circuit. Love watching him see him do a little bit of this in the practice sessions before the broadcast starts. Some really, really great car control there from Daiso.
He's quite good at drifting that way.
Just a little bit.
Daniel Hedersheed making 20 positions in this race. Started 25th, managed to finish 5th. Biggest gainer of the night. Josh Micklemore next with 11 positions. A really good run from Josh Micklemore, again on a track that not typically suiting his driving style. So damage control very much for Josh Micklemore there. Really good finish at the end for him. Not so great for Matty Ray. He ended up down in 16th position. So it wasn't the best night for a couple of the chase drivers. The only consolidation for Matty Ray is he didn't finish too far off Danny G and Jason Martin. Jason Martin down in 11th, Danny G down in 13th position. So Luke Traher in 10th, just rounding out the top 10. Let's just... it's been a bit of a tricky one for the guys out there, but Andrew Dyson just absolutely taking that one out with... you'd say ease, but I imagine when you're actually driving the car, it is not like that, especially when you're leading. You do tend to think, oh, well, it just looked very easy for him, but no, it is a lot of hard concentration work there as he finally stacks it into the barrier.
So it gets a little bit loose, but still good fun to watch. So cracking result there. Just quickly before we do get into it, thanks to everyone as usual for joining in to the stream. If you don't follow or subscribe, do so. We would appreciate it, and hit the notification button as well so you know when we go live or post any of the video content that we've been a little bit lax on producing this week, to be brutally honest, as life gets in the way, but there'll be plenty of highlights packages coming out across the next couple of days from all the series that we cover. Of course, we do broadcast Monday through Thursday, and back on Monday with the trucks, Tuesday with Ozpass and Pass 2, Wednesday night with the Thunder Series, and of course back Thursday with the Cup. So plenty of racing to entertain you when you're looking for something to have a look on. We're just waiting for Michael Skurlock to jump into the green room, then we will have our post-race interviews with himself, Edward Foster and Andrew Dyson. So just stick around for that one, and we'll bring those to you in a moment or so. As Daiso's still out on track, just circulating. And there is Michael Skurlock. So Carl, I'll bring you into the booth and let you hit them up with the hard questions on a Thursday evening.
And good evening, folks. How's it going? We're going to jump up, first of all, with the third place finisher, Mr. Michael Skurlock. Congratulations on that P3 tonight, Mr. Mickey Skurlock.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I don't feel like I deserve any sort of congratulations for that, but yeah, I was there, mate. I was driving, sort of.
You say that. You put in a good effort and you had some good speed there. Hamish was closing you in at the end and you managed to absolutely keep cool under pressure. Obviously, didn't look like you could take it to Ed Foster tonight. Just a little bit tricky out there.
Yeah, I drove the car quite a bit last week as well. I just can't figure it out, man, to be honest. I used to really enjoy these cars on the road, and I sort of understood the dynamics of it. Now I just can't. You just sort of, car gets away from me. It's always, never feels like I'm actually in control of it, to be honest. But no, like Ed was there. I was trying to push. I felt if I tidied myself up a bit, I could have stayed there. But then I don't know, a bit tired, mate, to be honest. I just started dribbling nonsense. And, started talking about the weirdest things ever. And then all of a sudden I look up and Hamish is only 1 second behind me. I was like, oh, my God. I thought he was like 10 seconds behind. I had no idea he was there. And then I had to I better focus now. I just held him off.
had to put the foot down again. Obviously, you tried the slightly different tyre strategy as well, staying out a bit longer. That didn't look to pay off for you too well tonight.
No, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't look. I was just. I realised everyone else had pitted, so I was like, oh, well, it's probably that time. Went in and went back out again. Not much strategy tonight. I knew where I was going to be, if you know what I mean.
I mean, that's one nickname we can't give you now, is the Welsh strategist.
No, the Welsh settler, mate. The Welsh settler.
Look, a good strong finish for you though tonight. I mean, obviously the tracks, the road tracks are tricky sometimes, and sometimes they can be a little bit of a gamble depending on who turns up for positioning. But this is quite a good strong finish for the return to the final few races of the chase, and obviously sets you up with a P3, which is always nice. So going into the rest of the season, you're going to be feeling pretty happy about that, I imagine.
Yeah, I wanted to beat Edward just because he's obviously quite a few points in front of me, and it's hard to claw these back now, especially if he does good finishing. Just even if he finishes fairly well, it's hard to claw back. You know, you only get like 1 point difference most of the time. So, yeah. But no, it's just fun, man. It's all fun. I'm going to shout out to Pro Bowler out there on lap 1 there. Got a strike for me, mate. Come through and
I was about to ask how
split there on Neil Pearson, but
did that cause you to grip the wheel a little bit harder when you saw that one coming down the inside?
I was looking in the mirror and I was going, because you got to brake. You know, it's always a bit of a worry first lap coming into that chicane if everyone's going to brake at the same time or not. And I was looking and I couldn't see him. I was like, where is he gone? What's happened? And then he's flying past me on the left. Must have just skimmed past Ed and just bang. And I was like, you're not going to lie, I had a little laugh there, to be honest. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, something cheered you up at least a bit tonight, so that's the main thing. Look, congratulations on the P3 finish. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love to all the people out there, Mr. Mickey Skurlock.
Yeah, just shout out to the Bandits. Shout out to Daiso and Ed. Ed's getting better. Gallagher as well. He was quick. He out queued me and he was coming for me at the end there. And you boys for putting the show on. Thank you.
You're always welcome. Thank you much, Mr. Skurlock, and we will chat to you soon.
Thank you.
Next up, we will head to the Natari Autosport driver of Mr. Edward Foster for that P2. Well done on that one. Another P2 here at the Roval. Nice, strong finish for you, and I imagine you're pretty happy with that one for the standings for the chase.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, it's all right. I mean, I never like getting iced by sort of 30, 40 seconds, whatever it was at the end. I was saying to Daiso that he's learning the ovals a lot quicker than I'm learning the road courses. So, yeah, need to try and do something to claw that back in time for next year. But, yeah, I mean, it started pretty badly because I started off in the wrong gear. I'm so used to starting off in second gear and everybody else was obviously in first, and I got away really bad. But in the end, I think that turned into a bit of a blessing because it was Pearson sat there in second place and he got skittled by Stockton when he came down in the chicane rather than me, and that's where I would have been if I'd got a better start. So I guess it turned out quite fortunate at the end. I was just kind of braking into the chicane, not really looking in my mirror. I just caught something in the corner of my eye coming down and sort of braked and didn't turn in and just waited for him to sort of come through. And I'm just like, as soon as I'm like, he's going to hit Neil. And sure enough, yeah, it took Neil. And then I just had to pick my way through him. And that gave Daiso a 4-second lead he really didn't need. And yeah, just from there, it was just a case of trying to hold Skirley off behind me. I saw him there in the mirror and yeah, just decided to get my chin on the rim, mate. And yeah, just try and bring it home, which I did. So I'm happy.
Look, it didn't work out too badly for you. I mean, as we said, Dyson's a bit of a freak, so you know that's a tricky one. He's just way too quick on these road courses. We'll have to chuck a couple of extra, people in his car, see if that slows him down a little bit. But that first lap incident, obviously, it was so close to you. We were sort of watching on the replay, and there was just a cigarette paper between the two of you. Did that sort of weigh on your mind much, or did you just write it off your head and just keep going?
No, I didn't have time to think about that. Yeah, it's just, I'm sure I would have given it a lot more thought had he hit me. But yeah, you get through that and it's just eyes forward from there. You think about that kind of thing later on.
No, and obviously a good finish for you in the race, but also sort of rival-wise, Hamish Gallagher and Michael Scurlock closest to you in the finish tonight and in the Chase Championship. Jason Martin having a little bit of a shocker down in P11. That must be sort of a little bit of hope for the next 4 races coming up.
Honestly, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just kind of settling back and enjoying the racing, and whatever happens, happens. So, we've got 4 races to go now to the end of the year, and then we'll go away, have a bit of a holiday, and get ready to come back with the next gen next year. So, yeah, I'm just enjoying myself at the moment.
Good to hear. Look, congratulations on that P2. Again, always telling us how never to watch out for you at road courses. You're not going to go too well. And again, another P2 for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was definitely not expecting to get on the podium, seeing as we had 2 DPR guys here who are always real fast. And you had Scurley and Hamish, both looked really quick. And, there are even a couple of other guys there who can pull a surprise. Aiden's been really fast on the road courses, Roval especially, the last couple of times. So I wasn't really considering. I would have been happy with the top 5. So, P2's all good.
Congratulations. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out and love for all your sponsors.
So shouts out to the Natari boys. Most of them, I think everyone had a pretty solid race. Good finish tonight. Daniel managed to climb up from the back of the grid to P5. It was a really good effort from him. So, it's just shouts out to them, and of course to the sponsors, Bridgestone Select Race Magazine, 2 Fat Blokes, AJ Insurance Services, and Ferguson Group Media.
Thank you so much, Mr. Foster. We will catch you back in the booth, I'm sure, before the season's ending.
I hope so.
Next up, we will head to the man that has dominated the Charlotte Roval in the trucks, in the Xfinity cars, and now in the Cups. Andrew Dyson, congratulations on that victory.
Thanks, guys. I was glad to get that one over the line. I was, really wanted to get it, so glad we got it done.
No, look, a fantastic drive from you tonight. I mean, we saw you a couple of times as well. We even gave you a bit of coverage because, it was fun to watch you racing out there and fun to watch you driving. Just some of that speed, we just left speechless sometimes.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I guess racing a lot of other road racing leagues helps a lot with that, and usually I'm the guy on the receiving end of a shellacking by dudes who, you're trying to think you're trying to be as good as, but it's just never going to happen. So that helps a lot. You can kind of come along, and these guys all race oval, so it's not to discredit them at all. But to put it the other way, usually we go to oval races, and I'm struggling to work out how to get around them. So yeah, it goes around, comes around, and I guess that'll probably be the last chance I really have at getting a W for the year. So I just needed to make sure I got it over the line.
You say that you went pretty well at Texas in the Xfinity car, so I mean that must give you a little bit of hope for next week.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it works out for you with probably safety car stuff and taking tyres at the right time. So you never know. That's the beauty about oval racing, and I guess that's why it's kind of addictive. Sometimes you just never know what exactly is going to happen, and I guess no matter where you're starting or where you are or what your pace is, you've kind of always got a bit of a chance.
No, that's it, and that's one of the things we love about oval racing. But it's always nice to get a bit of a road race thrown in there, just to spice things up a little bit. You've become the 5th different winner in the Chase now, which it's a good little bit of advertising for the Chase. Within the few races that we've had, where are we? 6 races that we've had 5 different winners, which is fantastic stuff to have. But this is also your 6th win of the year, meaning you've got the most wins of anybody this season so far. So that's quite good news for you, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's a cool little stat, that. 5 different winners from 5 races, I think, isn't it? That's really cool.
4...
5 that's right. Oh, yeah, Jason Martin.
5 from
you
6
smashed
races.
us up.
Yeah, Jason Martin's the only one.
Got 2 in a row. That's fair.
It's Jason Martin.
Classic. That's pretty cool. If you take away the road races, it'd be a different story. But I was just wrapped to get that one at the I can't remember what it was. I think it was Kentucky now or something like that. That was cool. I'm really proud of that one. That's my favourite win of the year. But no, I had some great battles on the road courses, and I've had some great races as well. Probably some of my best races have been when I haven't won on the ovals, because you get out there and you muscle it along and you make some passes and you get up there and you do better than you think. They're the ones you really go, yeah, that was awesome.
Look, that's it. And look, with a couple more ovals to come up, it's, there's always that chance to get another oval victory next to your name. Can you make it 7 this season? I mean, everybody's going to be asking that. And can Skirley possibly catch up and keep at least you honest with the most wins of the season? But for your first full season in the Cup Series, I mean, look, it's a fantastic job you've done. Really well done for all those victories. And again, well done for tonight. A absolutely emphatic victory for you. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout out to sponsors and love to anyone you'd like to say hello to tonight.
Yeah, thanks to all the guys racing in the league all throughout the year. It's been a lot of fun. Although we're probably out of it now. Myself and Neil, we've busted ourselves up a little bit, been unlucky, took ourselves out. We'll still be racing and trying to do our best and trying to get out there, just like all the other guys are. So yeah, thanks to all the drivers this year. It's been a lot of fun. It might be the last time I get to talk during a cup night, so I'll just throw that in there. And yeah, thanks to you guys for the broadcast all year. We really appreciate it. You guys, every 3 nights a week, you're broadcasting just ANZCAR alone, so we really appreciate that. On behalf of all the drivers, thanks so much. Thanks to ANZCAR, obviously, all the guys who put it together. They spend their own time doing this, and we all really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks so much to simrigs.com, South Lifts and Hoists, BMX Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Services, MP Designs, BMX, I think I might have said BMX, yeah. BetSmart Racing Service and Alcoholder for getting around us and being cool people and just being friends of the team, really, more than anything. But yeah, helping us out, helping us get it done. And yeah, looking forward to next year now already, I guess.
That's it. Look, I'm quietly confident we're going to get to see you in the booth before the season's out up here in the Cup. I'll say that. And we'll see how that one goes. But we'll hope we get to chat to you again before the season is out. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Thank you again, Andrew Dyson, for DPR, and well done again on a great victory.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, we'll still be having a dip, so let's see what happens. Thanks, man.
So, Stuart, another week is done and dusted.
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking there's no chance we won't see Dyso in the booth again at some stage between now and the end of the year, but we'll see how that one pans out. A cracking victory tonight and a decent margin is the polite way to say it. He's shown everyone a clean set of heels tonight and thoroughly deserved. But Carl, that brings us to the close of another week here on FGM eCast. There are 4 rounds to go in the Cup, and that will show us the end of what's been a massive season. It's gone by in the blink of an eye, but we do have Monday night, the Truck Series back, as I mentioned earlier, with Ozpass on Tuesday from 7:20, the Thunder Series, and then we're back next Thursday with the Cup from Texas when we get there. So looking forward to that. From all of us here on FGM eCast, thanks for joining us throughout the week. To the usual suspects who tune in, we appreciate your support, and we will catch you on Monday night from 7:45 for the Truck Series, where we are heading to Bristol. No, my apologies, to Daytona. No, to Bristol. No, to Daytona. I'll get it right in a minute. We're heading to Bristol. So we'll see you on Monday night for that one. FGM eCast, G Place for Pace. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, thank you and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next Monday.